Meet Real Madrid. Founded as Madrid Football Club in 1902, the club has been able to field some of the game's greatest ever players, from Di Stefano to Ronaldo, with Puskás and a star-studded cast of others in between. And having won the most domestic and international titles in Europe, Real is king of the club football castle. Real may be recognized as club of the 20th century by FIFA, but no recognition is exempt from the truth. Crazy fans. Where would football be without their crazy fans? And out of all the diehards who don their favorite club colors and cheer their heroes on until their vocal cords are kaput for weeks, none have a reputation for being more temperamental than the Madridista, or the fan who supports Real Madrid.
God is a Real Madrid supporter, and faith comes from the Real Madrid side.
Their extreme confidence is understandable when you consider that Los Blancos won a record 32 La Liga titles between 1932 and 2012, and have won more UEFA Champions League titles than anyone else, making them the most successful club in the world. And they're not afraid to rub it in your face. But this temperamental behavior has manifested itself in some confusing ways. Take their treatment of the man they once considered a saint, Iker Casillas. The keeper fell out of favor with then-manager Jose Mourinho, and then with a handful of the Madridista, who had forgotten he backstopped them to 5 La Liga and 3 Champions League titles. Everyone wanted to eradicate me like I was the plague, he lamented. Then there is the curious case of Cristiano Ronaldo, who was booed during Real's 7-1 demolition of Celta Vigo in early 2016, despite scoring 4 goals. Not good enough, Cristiano.
I remember that they booed me as well, to everyone. But I don't think it's a question of singling out one player in particular. They're just a demanding set of fans.
They're demanding and have a massive stadium and social media presence with over 100 million followers on Facebook and Twitter. Coming up, the greatest of the Galacticos. On May 28, 2016, Real Madrid defeated their crosstown rivals Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League final. It would be their record-setting 11th title in the competition.
We're obviously very, very happy to win the 11th, and looking forward to the celebrations now.
Those celebrations clearly indicated that winning never gets old.
I suffered a lot, as the game was difficult, but we made it through, because, as the saying goes, from Madrid to heaven.
Los Blancos are no stranger to hoisting hardware, having done so more than any other team since the club was founded as Madrid FC in 1902. The club accumulated a handful of domestic titles, which garnered the attention of then Spanish monarch King Alfonso XIII, who recognized that Madrid FC was more than just any football club. And so, in 1920, he honored them with the label of Real, or Royal. Just like that, Madrid FC became Real Madrid. They later earned the support of Spain's infamous, iron-fisted, ultra-right-wing dictator, General Franco, and got themselves yet another label, that of the regime team. But the club would only become the crowning jewel of world football when, in 1945, the reins were handed over to an ambitious former player who resurrected it from the ashes of World War II. On June 2, 1978, club president Santiago Bernabeu passed away. But not before leaving Madrid with a legacy for the ages. For one, he spearheaded the building of a new stadium not far from the center of town. Inaugurated in 1947, the president was given a privilege normally received posthumously just 8 years later. That of having it named after him. The Santiago Bernabeu. Considered one of the most prestigious venues in all of world football, the Bernabeu seats just over 81,000 fans and is an emblem of the city. But like all old things, it seems these days, it will get a facelift starting in 2017, which includes a retractable roof. But the stadium isn't the only stamp Santiago left on the game. Take the UEFA Champions League. Because if it is now considered the world's premier club tournament, it was Bernabeu who organized the very first edition. An exhibition back in 1955 that evolved into the glamour footballing spectacle that it is today. And speaking of spectacles, if you thought the Galacticos idea, that of signing superstars of the game to help create a sort of dream team, came from the mind of modern Madrid club president Florentino Perez, think again. That strategy was Bernabeu's too. In fact, it was this last one that catapulted the club into a position of dominance, starting with the signing of arguably the team's greatest ever player in 1953. Considered the most complete footballer of all time, Alfredo Di Stefano signed with Real Madrid in 1953, with conspiracy theorists claiming a move to Barcelona was sabotaged by Franco himself. It was soon clear why so much of a fuss was made about the boy from Buenos Aires, because he'd soon strike a feared forward partnership with another club legend, Hungarian Ferenc Puskás, and together they'd make Madrid magical. During the 11 seasons Di Stefano played for Real, he scored a then club record 216 goals in 282 league matches and won 8 league titles, 1 Intercontinental Cup and 5 straight European Cups between 1956 and 1960. Perhaps the culmination of their greatness came in that 1960 final, held at Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland, against Eintracht Frankfurt, who actually opened with a surprise goal of their own. Real and Di Stefano were crushing in their comeback.
The European champions' reaction was quick and effective. Canaria's clever centre was tapped in by Di Stefano. Three minutes later, Di Stefano was on hand to score a second and put Madrid in front.
In what was considered the finest expression of club football ever seen in Europe, Real would hammer their opponents 7-3, with Di Stefano scoring 3, while having a hand in the other 4 goals scored by Puskás.
Real Madrid, who notched a 7th, have won the cup since its inception.
Di Stefano won the Ballon d'Or twice, in 1957 and 1959, before signing with Espanyol in 1964. He retired at age 40, a Real Madrid legend, and after a brief and relatively unsuccessful stint as a coach, he was named Real's honorary president in November of 2000, just in time to welcome in a new wave of Galacticos. But all good things must come to an end, and such was the case for Real's adopted son.
Today is a day that we thought would never arrive. A day of absolute sadness for Real Madrid and for the entire footballing world.
On July 5th, 2014, the man known as the Blonde Arrow passed away from a heart attack at age 88 and was eulogized by fans and players alike.
There is not another player like Di Stefano. Professional, determined, with quality. Di Stefano was made in heaven with regards to football. I have fond memories of him at the grounds. Since the first moment someone talks to you about Di Stefano, your grandparents, your parents, and all those people that made what Real Madrid is today, from generation to generation, everything they told us about him made us look at him like an institution. Alfredo Di Stefano was Real Madrid.
As of December 2016, Di Stefano sits third on Real's all-time goal-scoring list. And just to underline how powerful a team they were at the time, his partner in crime, Ferenc Puskás, is fifth with 242 goals and a deadly goal-scoring rate of 0.92 goals per game. While one of Spain's greatest players, the speedy winger Francisco Gento, was also on that squad and sits ninth on the list with 182 goals. Sandwiched between Di Stefano and Puskás on the list is striker Carlos Santillana, a player Di Stefano coached in the early 80s who scored 292 goals between 1971 and 1988. Di Stefano also had a great influence on the club's number 2 scorer, Raúl, who surpassed Di Stefano's long-standing club goal-scoring record in 2009. And finally, the Blonde Arrow's influence was undoubtedly felt by the man at number 1 on the list, Cristiano Ronaldo.
I was privileged enough to meet Alfredo Di Stefano, to get to know the great Real Madrid legend. He always said, "Champion, just keep on doing what you are doing. You're the best." He always encouraged me.
If Ronaldo takes Di Stefano's advice and keeps doing what he's doing, he'll be on top for years to come. After the break, the many men behind Madrid. In terms of architectural flow, there are few movements more inviting than that of an opening door. Used to both allow and hinder access to an enclosed space, some doors have taken on historical importance, like the once wood, now bomb-proof steel entrance at 10 Downing Street, which indicates where the Prime Minister of England lives. There are some that have great artistic value, like the Florence baptistry doors, designed by Ghiberti in the 1400s and deemed by Michelangelo as the gates of paradise. And then there is the Holy Door of St. Peter's Basilica, which can only be first opened by the Pope once every 25 years and represents the passing from this life into the presence of God. In football, there is one entrance that for many managers has represented a similar rite of passage, that of the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. But ever since Italian coach Fabio Capello spent a single season at the helm after arriving with much fanfare in 2006, the transition from mortal manager to guiding a club considered a football god has proven to be hellish at times, making the position a revolving door. Between 2006 and 2016, 8 managers have sat on the hot seat, with Jose Mourinho resisting the most while Rafa Benitez was let go just 25 games after his emotional arrival in June 2015.
Thank you all for the welcome. This is always the most difficult part, when you have to talk and don't know what to say. Especially because today is an emotional day since I return here to my home.
But for Benitez, the Bernabeu clearly wasn't a place to call home. And the seemingly sack-happy president, Florentino Perez, gave him the boot.
Benitez was a coach who was already a dead man walking from the start at Real Madrid. That's because he wasn't the chosen one. He was the fourth option.
Some of the moves seem remarkable on paper, when you consider that Carlo Ancelotti, for example, won almost 75% of his games, helping Real win their highly coveted Decima, or their 10th Champions League title, in 2014. But they may want to consider keeping the man who led them to their most punishing of Champions League titles, the Undecima, a little while longer. That man is Zinedine Zidane. On December 18, 2016, Real Madrid became Club World Cup champions when they defeated Japanese side Kashima Antlers 4-2. It was their second title in history after their first one back in 2014. The winning coach on that day was Italian Carlo Ancelotti, his assistant Zinedine Zidane. The winning coach in 2016, Zizou, although he could barely say so after the match.
Listen, I don't have any voice anymore. And inside me, truly, I'm very tired because I couldn't find a way to sleep well. So I lack some hours of sleep. But oh well.
It's hard to believe the Frenchman was sleepless in Yokohama, considering he has experience in the competition, having won it with Los Blancos as a player too back in 2002. Ever since he joined the team in 2001 on a world record transfer, Zidane has always been on Real's coaching radar. Hence it was no surprise when he took over the B team in 2014. 2 years later, their plan finally came to fruition, with an announcement made by Florentino Perez using his standard, flattering choice of words that accompanies any new arrival.
Zinedine Zidane, this is your stadium and this is your club. You have our full trust and support to make our fans excited and emotional in every match. Real Madrid supporters stand by your side. I'm a little bit emotional, more than when I signed as a player, but that's normal. We have the best club in the world, the best fans in the world. What we need to do now, and what I'm going to try, is for this team to win something at the end of the season.
Mission accomplished. In his first season, he led Los Blancos to UEFA Champions League and UEFA Super Cup titles, with that Club World Cup to end out the year. His impact has been pretty impressive, but based on the club's revolving door of managers, Zizou can never get too cozy. On the battlefields of wars witnessed over the course of history, rarely has there been a battle won without a general guiding the troops to greatness, leading and inspiring by example and brute eloquence. On the fields of football, these generals are captains. And Real Madrid has had some illustrious ones, whose service was either substantial or succinct. Their greatest ever captain was arguably defender Manuel Sanchis, who wore the armband for 13 years between 1988 and 2001, while another defender, Fernando Hierro, did so for just 2 between 2001 and 2003. And if the Prince of Madrid, Raúl, had a solid 7-year reign from 2003 to 2010, he passed the mantle onto a saint. Keeper Iker Casillas spent 16 seasons with the club, guiding them to 5 La Liga and 3 Champions League titles. But his 2014 celebration of the FIFA Club World Cup was bittersweet, His once sublime skills were seen as deteriorating, and his position on the pitch was at risk.
It seems it was yesterday when, being 9 years old, I wore the Real Madrid jersey for the first time, and I fulfilled my dream.
Hence, in July 2015, Casillas decided to move to Porto, although many felt their former captain was forced out.
After 25 years defending the shield of the biggest team in the world, I have a difficult day ahead of me in my career. Today, I have to say goodbye to this club that has given me everything.
Some may accuse President Perez of being ungrateful for his service, but at least Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy was not, granting Casillas the Grand Cross of the Royal Order of Sports Merit.
Like everyone knows, he is one of the most hard-working and loved people in the history of Spanish sport.
Meanwhile, back at Real Madrid headquarters, Casillas' captaincy was given to Sergio Ramos, who saw in Casillas the master mentor.
We have learned many things from each other. I've learned from him how to be captain of a team. I wish him the best in this new project in his life. For me, it's a great responsibility to wear the captain's armband, but it's also a pride and a new challenge.
Combining durable defending with timely goals, the captain was named man of the match in both their 2016 UEFA Champions League and Super Cup victories.
Sergio is like that. He is such a big personality, and in games like this, he is always there, keeps lifting his teammates, and he never drops his hands. At the end, it is what he has. Having him is good for us.
Still to come, breaking the bank to be the best. With more shiny domestic and continental bling than any other football club in Europe, arguably the greatest footballer of the 21st century, a supporting cast that is second to none, and an army of fans that may very well be the biggest on the planet, one has to wonder, what do you buy a team that has it all? The club's response rests in this simple philosophy: buy the superstars of the world game, known as Galacticos. The first modern Galactico era began in 2000, when the club signed Luis Figo from hated Barcelona for €62 million, before breaking the bank on Zinedine Zidane, Brazilian Ronaldo, Walter Samuel, and even David Beckham.
Gracias. A la Madrid.
But between 2000 and 2007, the big spending only garnered the club 1 Champions League title and 2 La Liga titles, simply not stellar enough. And so, after clearing the dead wood, round 2 took place in 2009, with the return of President Perez at the helm. Ready to break world records to return Real to the glories of the past, Perez signed Brazilian attacking midfielder Kaká from AC Milan at a record £56 million. Then followed that up with another world record, landing Manchester United superstar Cristiano Ronaldo for over £80 million.
There are not many Cristiano Ronaldos in the world. And Real Madrid has made a great financial effort to buy him. But Real Madrid wants to have the best players, and that's what Cristiano is.
However, having lived through the first wave of Galacticos, Raúl wasn't too keen to pronounce the word once again.
I don't recognize that word. No understand.
So the Galactico.
This time, though, Raúl could have said the G word quite comfortably. Sure, Perez made winger Gareth Bale the sport's first €100 million signing in 2013, but he strengthened his defense too. Big spending needs to be smart. Other clubs might hate them. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid come to mind. And that sentiment may be a combination of envy and intimidation, with a subtle hint of admiration. Because it seems Real Madrid has more often than not found favor in the eyes of the football gods. And more often than not, they return the favor with dominant displays of fabulous football. Hala Madrid. And that is the truth.